Sudden anxiety or unexplainable anger often feels like a personality flaw. But if we look at the mechanics, these moments behave less like a mood and more like an internal system halt. In computer science, logic is absolute. When a program attempts to execute two lines of code that directly contradict each other, the processor hits a wall. The system cannot choose both, so it crashes. The human brain relies on a similar hierarchy of logic. We treat our core beliefs about who we are and how the world works as the foundational instructions for our daily behavior. When we hold two contradictory beliefs, the brain's predictive modeling breaks down. This mechanical friction creates the physical sensation of stress. Much of our mental suffering is the result of this logical runtime error, the brain struggling to run flawed programming we didn't know existed. We rarely write our own mental code from scratch. Instead, we absorb a patchwork of inputs from our parents, from social media, and cultural norms, often without checking to see if they actually work together. This spaghetti code creates tangled, conflicting rules. For example, believing wealth is success while also believing money is evil. In this impossible bind, every attempt to succeed is flagged as a moral violation. The brain enters an unresolvable loop, forcing a system crash. Until we identify these invisible contradictions, the mind will continue to fail under the pressure of everyday life. This cognitive glitch was identified 2,400 years ago by a man who treated thought with the precision of a mechanic. Most people remember Socrates as a philosopher who wandered through Athens starting arguments. Viewed through a technical lens, Socrates was history's first software engineer. His lifelong project was the systematic deconstruction and rebuilding of the human brain's architecture. His method functioned as a rigorous diagnostic protocol, designed to find the exact point where a person's internal logic failed. Socrates called his diagnostic tool the Elenchus, or what we now call the Socratic Method. The protocol began by asking a citizen to define a foundational concept they lived by, something massive like justice or bravery. He would then subject that definition to a series of algorithmic stress tests, applying it to increasingly difficult and complex scenarios. He was hunting for the precise moment the logic fractured. By pushing a definition to its limit, he could reveal the hidden contradiction buried within the subject's mind. The Socratic Method was a mechanical unit test. It wasn't about rhetoric. It was about exposing the flawed code that leads to a systemic crash. When Socrates forced a subject into a logical contradiction, they would often stop mid-sentence and freeze. Their internal system simply ceased to function. The Greeks called this state of total mental stall Aporia. Socrates engineered this moment of cognitive failure as the primary goal of his method. This forced crash cleared the subject's mental RAM. By breaking the existing system, he deleted the corrupted, contradictory code so the individual could begin again. After tearing down a person's beliefs, Socrates rarely gave them the correct answer. He recognized that installing external code, someone else's philosophy or advice, rarely sticks. If the underlying operating system is still flawed, the new instructions won't run. A stable mental foundation must be rebuilt from the inside, using only logic that the individual has personally stress-tested and proven to be true. True debugging is an internal process. No external authority can resolve your foundational contradictions for you. We can apply this 2,400-year-old engineering to the modern day. The next time you feel a spike of anxiety or unexplainable anger, stop. Shift your focus away from the external triggers and look for the internal logic flaw. Ask yourself, what two lines of contradictory code are currently fighting in my head? Mastering your own Socratic unit test is the ultimate tool for upgrading your mental software. By finding the crash, you finally find the fix.